The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neil Pline, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Invest and Retire. And I'm joined today by Darwin Abrahamson, CEO of Invest and Retire, and Dan Medak, who is the Director of Operations for Invest and Retire. And we'll be delivering a presentation today called ETFs in 401k Plans, Your Opportunity. Now, this is truly a new opportunity here to have a positive change on 401k plans and affect the landscape of the retirement community for the better for participants. And let's take a quick look before we move forward at what that landscape looks like currently. What is the terrain that we're facing? Currently, within defined contribution plans, there are $3.1 trillion worth of assets. And of that $3.1 trillion, 90% of those assets are in actively managed mutual funds. The average cost for this is between 1.25% and 1.50%. Now, plans want good performance, and that is one of the major appeals of active management. And finally, one of the big trends that we're seeing within the mutual fund community is a trend towards adding simplified investment options like lifestyle funds or target date funds. But what has been the result of this standard design for 401k plans? And that's an average balance of $75,000. And right now, we have the largest demographic concentration of Americans, the baby boomers, approaching retirement, and most are finding that they simply do not have enough saved. Now, these have been hard workers. They've made their contributions, they've sat through the meetings, they've heard the presentations, and yet now most are getting a very rude awakening that in retirement, their life is about to be a whole lot different. But why is this? What has happened in the current system that has resulted in an outcome like this? To begin to understand, you have to break down these individual aspects of the standard plan. To begin, you look at expenses, and the average fund costs between 1.25, 125 basis points, and 150 basis points. And these expenses play a large role over the long term because a reduction in cost of, say, 100 basis points could impact a participant's balance by 28% over 35 years, according to the Department of Labor. And next, we look at these actively managed mutual funds the participants pay so much for, and what has been the value added of using these investment options. The benefit of paying a high price, the promise of above average returns from active management. We look at the outcome of that, and a few weeks ago, a really groundbreaking report came out from the University of Maryland that analyzed actively managed funds in defined contribution plans over the previous 31 years. And the result, 99.4% of those funds underperformed their benchmark averages. So what about simplicity? That's a big trend, with more participants trending towards simplified mutual fund options like target date funds. However, unfortunately with these funds, you have to give some to get some, because with target date funds, while simple, they lack a lot of fundamental clarity needed to, say, plan, using resources like retirement calculators to help establish saving goals and determine the contribution rate needed to reach those goals and tell you whether or not you're on track. Target date funds, lifestyle funds, have a very difficult time of providing participants with the type of information they need to use their plan resources effectively. But this simplicity says a lot, taken by itself alone, because it is not just limited to investment options. It's part of a larger trend. Some refer to it as the Application of our lives. People are seeking easier and easier ways to accomplish what used to take a great deal of effort. They want things simple, quick, and clean. And that brings up the question of tomorrow. Upon hearing this, analyzing the faults in the current system, which are coming under increasing scrutiny, matched by more and more Americans entering retirement and realizing that they do not have enough saved, can you start to feel the shifting sands? Can you start to feel the mounting tide? It begs the question, where are things going? What is the direction and future of 401k plans, and what does it look like? Fortunately, you don't have to look far to get an idea for where things are going. Right now, outside of the DC space, mutual funds are experiencing record capital outflows. Record capital outflows. While at the same time, exchange-traded funds are experiencing record capital inflows. In fact, they are the fastest growing investment vehicle in history. Now you may be thinking, yes, ETFs are booming because primarily they have tax advantages. That's why they're so popular. And if you have that idea, that would in fact be one of correct reasons to look at this. It is one reason for the popularity. Once people realized that there were obvious tax advantages of ETFs, they came in droves. And with ETFs and 401k plans, the very same thing will happen because the advantages are just as powerful and just as obvious. So why haven't we seen them yet? The answer is simple, and it has one word: technology. ETFs are not like mutual funds. Mutual funds trade once a day. ETFs trade throughout the entire day. The current systems in place, the mainstream backbone of nearly every retirement plan, has not been designed for ETFs. So in order to make ETFs available in 401k plans, new technology is needed. And this is where the real opportunity for the way forward lies, because this is the chance to really build something new with all the knowledge and resources that we have available today, rather than continuing to build upon the outdated model. But that's exactly what's happening for offering ETFs and 401k plans for most. Many say that they can do it, and it's true. You can get ETFs and 401k plans through other service providers other than Invest and Retire. But that makes about as much sense as this picture, because in essence, that's what you're getting. You're getting a platform designed to handle mutual funds being used to accommodate an entirely different investment vehicle altogether. At the end of the day, you could offer ETFs with these solutions, but not much has changed fundamentally. The backbone is still outdated, and as you'll see, it's everywhere. Now you may be thinking, Neil is just saying this because everyone else is the competition, and things are really not that bad. And I respect that view, because I myself once shared that particular view. But here's the undeniable proof. As investment professionals out there listening today, surely everyone has heard of a retirement calculator. In fact, many of you probably are very familiar with retirement calculators because nearly every major service provider supplies one to participants as part of its suite of services. Now, take just a moment here and picture the retirement calculator that you use currently, or that your participants use currently. Picture yourself logging in online, going to the section where you could find the retirement calculator and pulling that retirement calculator up. Take a look at it. See what you have to do to use it. If you have to enter your age manually or change something to make the calculator show your age manually, then you have all of the proof that you need. Because why on earth would a participant have to enter their own age into a retirement calculator? Age is not something complicated. Age does not change after, say, taking a risk-reward questionnaire. Age is one of the most basic data elements. It's very much controllable. There's nothing complex about it. So why does a participant have to enter it? Because that calculator, that backbone, lacks the ability to integrate even the most basic of information, a shortfall that modern technology could almost effortlessly account for. And ETFs are what make that new technology possible for 401k plans because ETFs demand it. And Invest and Retire is the company that has built the platform that is based upon this modern technology, making a whole new world of things possible for 401k plans and giving you the opportunity to deliver the power, simplicity, and ease participants demand for a new generation of 401k plans. We're now going to turn to a brief look at this technology and demonstrate a very top-level introduction to how both advisors and participants experience it, and then we'll conclude with an overview of some of the resources that Invest and Retire offers to help you spread the word and grow your business. And finally, we'll take questions from the three of us at the end of the call about anything that you may have, any concerns or questions or additional features you'd like us to demonstrate on this platform. We're going to start here at the Invest and Retire homepage. And many of you that are listening today are advisors, and you're working with investments and participants in the plan. And so you'll naturally be wondering, how is it that I manage those investments for my participants? Coming to our sponsor portal section, the first time you log in as an advisor, you'll come to our TandemModels software. And what you can do here is you can design a group of age-based model portfolios, maybe even just one group of model portfolios that can be managed across all of the plans that you serve as an advisor on. So I'm going to call this the master group. And here now I have my list of groups that are available. I could click on master group and I could create a model for that group. I'll call it aggressive. I select add model, and now I can see the name of my model, and I can see minimum age and maximum age. So let's say I set my minimum age to 21, my maximum age to 34, and I update. And I'll maybe make 5 models ranging from aggressive to conservative. And by setting the age, what I've done is I've created a set of models that are age-based and can serve as QDIA options for the plans that I work with. But what about the investment options that go in these models? Say I click the aggressive model here, and I can see all of the major asset classes here. Say, don't judge me on the quality of this, of course, but I'm going to do a 15% allocation to intermediate term, 15% allocation to short term, and add those to my model. I can see that I've allocated 31%. I've still got 69% remaining. I'm going to add a little bit of large cap here, say 20, add those, get some international, and I'll just say I do 15 and 14. Add those. Now I've allocated 100%, and I've built a model portfolio here for a participant who is aged 21 to 34 to utilize. We always have a 1% cash position in all of our model portfolios, which facilitates the trading of ETFs on this platform. And by clicking Next now, what our technology will do is take these exchange-traded funds with track indexes and take the result of that model portfolio as a whole and calculate its projected rate of return. And we do this back to 1973 to give a strategic number where you can look at this and you can say, what has this particular asset allocation earned over the long term? You can also see other risk-reward characteristics for this model, lowest rate of return, highest rate of return, standard deviation, etc. So as an advisor, I would go through and I would make a few of these model portfolios for a plan. But how would the participants experience this? There are primarily two sides to this platform, the sponsor portal side, which we just took a look at, and the participant side. Now say I'm a participant in your plan, and I'm going to log in using my Social Security number, last 4 digits as a password first time around. And as I log in here, I'm the average participant coming to this plan, and I'm seeing what I really want to see first, which is how much money do I have saved up in my account, where I can see, I've got $15,000 saved up. Next big thing that we're offering here to help participants is that age-old problem of picking your own investments. Here I'm the average participant. I'm the average American. doing an average job. I'm not an investment professional, nor do I desire to be one. Fortunately, because of this platform and your services as an advisor, I can see that I've been automatically placed into a model portfolio based on my age. I don't have to pick the investment options. I don't have to pick the asset allocation. You, the investment professional, because that is what you do. You manage investments. You're a professional doing that. You do that for me so that I, the average American, the non-investment professional, don't have to do that. And now that I see how much money I have in my account and what my model portfolio looks like, what are the investments that I own, I'm going to wonder, what do I need to save for retirement, and am I on track to reach my goals? The very first option we make available here is a retirement calculator. And if you think back to the example that I gave about the outdated technology and having to enter your age, you think about how could that process be improved? When we click to our retirement calculator here, what you can see is that it is fully integrated with all of the participants' personal information. You can see here that the age has been pre-populated and other factors have been pre-populated as well. Difficult areas that participants often struggle with using their retirement calculators, like questions of enter your target rate of return. We referenced target date funds in the initial presentation, and when you think about it, a participant who wanted the simplicity of a target date fund and goes into a target date fund, but then wants to see whether or not they're on track for retirement, when they are asked the question, enter your target rate of return, what would they possibly enter if they were in a target date fund? That's the example of the give and take, where on the traditional platform you have the simplicity of the target date fund, but by using that simplicity, you lack some of the clarity you need to plan effectively. Designing these asset allocation models in the integrated retirement calculator, we can pre-populate your target rate of return as that strategic number, the performance history of the professionally designed investment model that the advisor has designed for the plan. Next, we can see what the annual salary is. We can see what the current contribution rate is. Currently contributing 3%. I've got $15,000 saved up, and these are my employer matching conditions below. And below that, if I have anything entered like an IRA or money market fund, I can put the amount in there. And by clicking Next, without having to enter any data at all, I can see that based on this information, based on what I'm contributing, what my model portfolio has returned historically, what my matching is, all of that information, I'm going to need to have $2.8 million saved at retirement. However, based on this current information, I'm projected to have $2.4 million. So I can see very clearly in red that I'm projected to have a $363,000 shortfall. Now, naturally, at this point, the participant will be wondering, what can I do to make that up? Again, keeping with the idea of the amplification of things, making things simpler, easier for participants to understand, we tell them very clearly, you need to increase your contribution rate by 1% to reach your goal. Now, granted, if this number was higher, there are other options for the participant that are outlined here in red. But for this example, we'll stick to that 1% increase. Now the participant would come back. They'd increase their contribution rate from 3 to 4% of compensation. And now they'd click Next, and they could see that based on that, now their information has projected them to not only be on target to reach their retirement goals, but they're even projected at this particular point in time to have a surplus at retirement. Once a participant goes through and does this for the first time, they're going to understand the concept of it. And not only that, we provide them with a video that they can watch that's a few minutes long that shows how to change certain variables in here to get yourself on track for retirement. We're not talking about prospectuses. We're not talking about any specifics of correlated asset classes or any stories about emerging markets or developing markets. That's what the investment advisor does. We have the participants focus on the things that they have to make changes on, that they can control, that we cannot control for them. Contribution rate is one of those primary factors. At this point, the participant is done. They have taken action. They've become involved in their plan. They've adjusted their contribution rate. They can see that they're on track for retirement, and at this point, they can log out. That is what the advisor gets to experience and the benefit that they get to deliver to the participant. It's simple, it's easy, it's quick, and it makes sense. And through the modern technology, we have the benefits of integration, we have the benefits of a streamlined process, and additional benefits that are items that just fit in with the contemporary landscape, things like applications for an iPhone that make this service available for people everywhere using the modern technology. That is what this platform is designed to do and designed to deliver. And now you may be wondering, how is it that we present this? How do we sell this product? Or this service, I should say. And the way that Invest and Retire helps you as an advisor get the word out about this and perhaps even look at what your current plans are or grow your business is through a series of extensive resources that we call our sales process. And what we can see is that a major source of information that we offer is through our online website through a resources section. And here you're going to find all of the resources that you would need to go from having no 401k or defined contribution business at all to closing business and everything in between. Each stage of the sales process is clearly defined, and there are guides, there are videos that are both internal and on YouTube, PowerPoint presentations, cold call scripts, email blast templates, etc. And the flow of this information is all very methodical. Say, for example, you had no current 401k business, and you were looking for a place to start. The very first item you can see on your screen here is the business generation packet, which looks like this. And what the business generation packet is designed to do is to help give you a top-level view for how do I go about getting a lead list? Where do I look for something like that? What are the features that I need to define to try to begin prospecting? And how do I get more information on the plans that I'm looking at, the plan sponsors that I'm looking to speak with, and what do I do with all that information? We have a business generation packet that is the very first thing that you would start with that gives you the very top-level view of how the system works. Now, from the resources page here in this business generation packet, defines everything that you need from a top-level view. And that very first link you see there is for something called Larkspur, which is a database. And I'm just not going to go into too much detail here, but just as a top overview example. Using the Larkspur database, we will suggest starting with the region that you're currently in, perhaps the county that you're currently in, and then go out maybe 40 or 50 mile radius and define all of the counties around you. We provide you with all of the information you need to use the Larkspur database, all of the specific criteria that you would need to enter into this database to generate a leads list so that you can start understanding what are the plans around you, where they are, who are the people you contact, how many participants, what the asset level is. Everything you need, we outline step by step, again, very methodical. And what you do with that information, you may be thinking, it sounds like a lot of information. The goal of this, and going back to the business generation packet, is we instruct you and show you how to use the Department of Labor's database to pull Form 5500 reports for plans. This is one that's been highlighted that's available on the website that shows you the specific areas that you'll need to focus on. And what this will tell you is all of the information about the plan. You can see the plan name, the company name, the address, the person that you'd be contacting there, what their phone number is, how many participants are in the plan. You can scroll down to Schedule C to see all of the expenses. And then one benefit of plans over 100 participants in this last year is an accompanying audit report, which will list all of the investment options in the plan as well as their balances. What Invest and Retire provides is a platform for you to enter all of this data in, again, very methodically, exactly as you would experience it on the Form 5500. And what you get out of that is a fee disclosure and comparison report. What this is it's a report that essentially summarizes all of the aspects of a prospect's plan. And here, for example, based off the 5,500 that we just looked at, it shows you how many assets are in the plan. It itemizes the expenses that are listed for the plan. And because Invest and Retire is a record keeper, we are connected directly with the Morningstar database, and we get all of the different hidden fees, revenue sharing components to reveal all of the true cost of the investment options in the plan. And from this, we can arrive at a total plan cost in dollars compared to what it would cost on this platform that we just demonstrated. One of the largest costs in 401k plans is the cost of the investments. So by offering the exchange-traded funds, you're delivering the lowest cost investment options available to the plan, and that is one of the major reasons why you see such a big disparity between the two costs of the plan. Below you see this information summarized. They're currently paying 127 basis points for an $8.4 million plan, and with our platform and you as an advisor, they could be paying 81 basis points, which is a 46 basis point savings. Now this 38,000 here, no fancy math. We saw there were 400 participants in the plan. If you were to simply divide that by the 400 participants, you could see that the average participant would save $97 a year. And if that money were allowed to grow over 30 years, just like the Department of Labor estimates, that participant could have an additional $76,000 in their retirement account over 30 years. The cost reduction alone makes a substantial impact. Next, we can see little pieces of information that I like to refer to as a plan's vital statistics. What is the average portfolio balance? We can see in this plan is $21,000. Next, we can take a look at some of the information about the investment options in their plan currently. What do they own? What is the kind of plan psychology here? We can see that this plan is in essentially a money market fund with 23% concentration in this money market fund that's costing them 133 basis points. You know, does the plan have an appetite for target date funds or for, managed solution like that? Are they chasing returns, et cetera? You can determine all of that information by looking at the fund breakdown here. You can also see what the average weighted fee is here, 67 basis points, versus an ETF portfolio that you've designed is only 17 basis points. And finally, you can show the plan sponsor specific information like short-term redemption fees, any revenue sharing components, et cetera. But this is a very comprehensive report. And with this report, we also, by entering the information into our CRM system, can produce an effective cover letter that we have that will pre-populate with all of specific information related to that report we just put together, your information, the block at the bottom, the contacts information above. You can print this on your letterhead, and between signing this piece of information, this cover letter, and that report, then you can send this out in the FedEx packet. And we discuss how you send this information out, how to do it, and once you get familiar with the process, there are resources like time management sheets, for example. If you have a staff that you're looking to use to promote this solution, they may wonder, how does this process unfold, where we're sending out these FedEx packets, we're analyzing plans. What about following up? What about calling the prospect? What about emailing the prospect? And as you can see here, they can see, well, we ship proposals on Monday. We send our email follow-ups on Thursday. And we call those proposals on Friday if we haven't heard anything. In the meantime, we're cold calling at these hours. We're preparing proposals at these hours. We're doing webinars at these hours. It's just a very easy way to organize the data flow and begin to provide some structure to your pipeline. And with this comes the Invest and Retire CRM system. And the CRM system is what you use to organize all of this information and manage your pipeline. And this is not something that is a third-party service. This is, again, a system that has been designed by us as proprietary and is fully integrated with all of the other features that you would work with relating to plan management and plan design. We also have a defined sales closing process that we put online that shows the various stages of the closing process And from the resources that you have available to you there, when you're putting those proposals together, you're sending them out, again, we're providing you with the email follow-up templates that you would be using to send these prospects emails after you had shipped the proposal on Monday. If you hadn't heard anything back, we have cold call scripts that your staff can use to make the calls during the week and look to ultimately get it up to that very first meeting, which is the most important thing. That starts the sales closing process, is getting that first meeting. And we want to do as much as we can to help you get that meeting and help you not only succeed in that first meeting, but move the process along all the way to converting business. And one of the ways that we do that is we have certain things online where we have our 4-stage sales closing process. And within each stage, there are different steps. And for example, in the introductory stage, you have your first meeting. And we provide a general outline for each step that will show you, what stage am I in? I'm in the introductory stage. What's the status that my CRM should be set to, i.e., where is this person in the pipeline? Where in the sales process are they? They're at the first meeting stage. Who is going to be involved, the primary contact? What are the things that I need to bring to the first meeting? And we provide all of these things online, again, in that brochure section, and they correspond by letter, briefing reports, copies of the 5500, different informational sheets, and then you come down to things like, what is this meeting going to be like? What am I going to talk about? What's the flow of the meeting? Where is the focus on? What are some of the things that I should be looking for to move this sale along? What's the next step? What are some red flags that I should look for? Everything here is outlined at each stage here. And some of the other things that we put together to help you are things like just outlines that are reflections from things that Darwin and I or Dan have worked on. And these are sheets that we put together that give you information like, what are some of the common objections that you're going to hear from plan sponsors to this approach or to this platform, and how do you overcome them? What are some of the questions that you ask in the meeting to get things going? One of our favorites is to get to the hot button as quickly as possible. We'll simply ask the plan sponsor after a little bit of the small talk is, what would you like to see improved in your plan? And from there, we go through, we outline how the meetings go. We have certain techniques to overcome stalls and to move the process along. And again, you know exactly what that process is and how things move forward to that process all the way to closing the business. So with the process, we have the stage outlines. We have all the materials and all the resources that you need. And ultimately, with this solution here, this is going to give you the opportunity to be ahead of the pack, be ahead of the curve. You see where the direction is going. You can see that the tide is changing. The flow is moving in a new direction. And there is going to be a new generation of 401k plans in place that adequately meet the needs that participants are looking for. Again, this is your opportunity to grow your business and, most importantly, do a lot of good for participants in 401k plans by giving them the best in all of the plan design and making it easy for them to build a comfortable and an adequate retirement fund. So at this point, we're going to take any questions from anyone in the audience. And what we ask, since we have so many people on the call today, is that you select the button here to raise your hand.
No, I was just curious when you were talking about the model portfolios serving as QDIAs. I was just curious about who would serve as the fiduciary on those portfolios. So they would, I know the plan sponsor can, but would probably want a third party as the fiduciary. I'm just wondering how you handle that.
Sure. Yeah, Darwin, why don't you go ahead and
Okay, I had my telephone muted just so I didn't have any background noise. I'm sorry. Richard, there's two ways of that you could work as far as the fiduciaries on the QDIAs and the asset allocation models. One is as an advisor, if you do not want to be the fiduciary for building and designing and managing the models, we can offer you a list of DALBAR certified 338 investment managers that we have available through Invest and Retire that are taking on full fiduciary responsibility and have received the certification that they exceed all of the requirements that the DOL requires for a plan sponsor to transfer all the fiduciary responsibility over to them as a 338 manager.
Thank you.
Or if you're wanting to, take on that responsibility yourself, you can do that as a RIA. Are you familiar with 338, Richard?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that's what we are finding is that there's more and more plan sponsors out there, especially when we're dealing with the larger plans and we're dealing with C-level executives that do not want to not only take on the fiduciary responsibility and would like to transfer it to an investment manager, but they actually would want to get rid of having their quarterly meetings, having an investment policy committee, having to maintain an investment policy statement, and to hand all of that over to a 338 investment manager.
Okay. I was saying on the custodian on these plans, it shows TD Ameritrade. Is that the only custodian that you guys work with?
Currently, I'm using TD Ameritrade as our custodian, but we're in the process right now. I'm actually going to be switching after the end of the year, or actually before the end of the year, over to Citibank as our custodian. Because Citi is going to offering us a lot more services than we had available through TD.
Okay, and so that is the custodian that we would have to go through if using this?
That is correct. Our custodian on trading, we can talk a little bit more on that one-on-one, but we have to have our custodian tied directly in with what we're doing on our ETF trading. And this is a fully automated process that we have developed at Invest and Retire, that we do not use multiple custodians unless they're...
I got you.
Okay.
And second question real quick is y'all have an age put in there and it populates. Is that going to change? So as that person turns 34, it would then go to the moderately aggressive portfolio. Is that how y'all have it working at this point?
Yes.
Repeat
They
these
automatically.
Repeat these questions so everybody can maybe...
Oh, sure. What he was asking was, for example, in the retirement calculator where we're pre-populating things there, if the advisor designs the model portfolios and enters the ages there, minimum and maximum age, say when the participant is 34 and turns 35, will they automatically move to the next portfolio? And the answer to the question is yes. And the way that we've designed it is we have a sort of general theory on participant behavior, which is we want to make this available to them, and participants, are either going to be engaged in using the technology, or they will be unengaged and won't use the technology, regardless of how good it is. And so what we're trying to do is a participant that does nothing, that is completely unengaged, would have that benefit of automatically moving through the model portfolios. And even, in fact, someone that is engaged could have that. But if they wanted to, they could also move to another model portfolio on their own, say if they needed a higher rate of return and they couldn't afford to increase their contribution rate. And then a final option is, even though it's only used by about, we see less than 5% of participants on throughout all of the plans on our record-keeping platform, they can still pick their own investments if they choose to do that. But it's very, very rare that happens.
Okay, gotcha. I'll send you an email. I have a couple more questions, but I'll do it offline since y'all can't hear me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And one thing that Neil did not mention that I'll bring up is what the industry is working on right now is everyone is trying to figure out how to meet 408B2 and 404A5, all the new fee disclosure regulations that are facing every plan sponsor and every provider. With Invest and Retire, we are already 100% compliant on both the participant and also for the 408 fee disclosure regulations. With 408, we have no indirect cost with any of our providers to report. Everything is a direct deduction from the participants' accounts for every provider. So there's nothing to have to be reported to on the DOL on the Schedule C. and therefore the plan sponsor has no fiduciary obligations to have to verify that the information that is on Schedule C and Schedule 8 is adequate and all of it has been provided to them. And then on 404A, the same thing. We have already for the participant disclosure regulations as of our 930 statements that we have just launched for the end of the quarter. We are already 100% compliant with 404A5.
That's correct, yes. And does anybody have any questions about the fee disclosure regulatory changes in the platform? Kind of to reiterate what Darwin says, this is, again, a very timely selling point for plan sponsors. Again, we talked about DALBAR's certification process for the 338 manager. One other thing they've done is actually an estimate of what the average time that a plan could expect to spend getting their plan ready for fee disclosure. And that average time is 39 hours. So when you go and you're talking to a plan sponsor that's very busy and perhaps hesitant to change and pressed for time, getting pulled in 50 different directions, it's very appealing for them to know that, aside from all of the benefits that we've outlined here on this platform, they don't have to worry about all of the headaches, complications, and expenses of fee disclosure because the platform is already fully compliant. So it's a very big relief for them. Okay, any final questions here before we conclude for the day? Okay, well, looks good. Well, I want to thank everybody for your time today. Thank you for joining us. And if anybody's interested in a more complete demonstration or more information on Invest and Retire, please feel free to contact me. And thank you, everyone, for your time.